Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 564.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
So my question is, I sent you over a link that has the new update with Price Labs. They're allowing us to do a little bit more customizable fine-tuning to price. I don't know if you got a chance to look at it just yet. I sent you the link and also just sent you a quick screenshot of it. And so what I've been doing is gathering all my data from Smart B&B because we've been operating, for over a year at this point. So I do have winter data from last year, which I'm looking at. My biggest thing is when I'm looking at this new pricing thing that we can set up, I'm keeping into account still the NPP that we're implementing, but also it's just for some reason all of a sudden, I don't know if it's the algorithm change on Airbnb, but our bookings are plummeting. For some reason, I'm not sure what's going on. So I'm looking at this new pricing tool that Price Labs released just to see if that's something that's going to help me. But at the same point, I want to make sure I'm not discounting way too early or, way too slow based on data.
You've got to decide how far out in advance you want to actually be booked, okay. Like what's comfortable for you. Do you know? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we're talking about days and percentage-wise, or it's like for us, looking at our data, I'm looking at an 8-plex specifically. That's the one that's struggling. So literally on the little circle chart that we look at Smart B&B, a lot of our bookings happen within 7 days, right? And it's always been that way for that location. No matter what I've tried, I'm not able to take that higher, even with NPP.
How many people are average? What is the average number of guests per reservation?
I pulled this at I'm going to say 4.1, I think it said. So I pulled this data right before I went on my trip, and I don't have it in front of me right now. So it's about 4.
That's really, okay. So, all right, here's the data I would want to know. Okay. I would now want to know what is the median days in advance that people are booking in advance for that particular unit. And
4.3. I know usually it's 4.3.
I said the median, not the average. No.
Oh, no, that is. Oh, go ahead.
Not the median, not the average, because I am now curious to see if there's a difference between the number of guests that are booking in the 0 to 7 day window that you're telling me about. I'm thinking about now, because that for it to be so many people that last minute, that's interesting to me. Like, why did that happen?
And that's what I've been figuring out, trying to figure out. But I did run it on both, so the average and the median. I did do it both ways. I put all my own Excel spreadsheet and just make sure it's verified getting the right data. But it still literally is for that building. It's like 4 point something. It's like 4.3 or something like that. No, that's a whole number, so it's 4. So that's the weird part about it. Everything came up to be like 4s. So the average is about 4, the median is 4, number of guests is average guest is 4.1. So I'm just at a standstill on that, but I can rerun that one. That one will be we open that one up November, I think. Of last year, sorry.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Are all of those reservations from the same platform?
They are. So we expanded, so from that data, yes, all from the same platform. We recently, like 4 months ago, I expanded to HomeAway with those to help. We have been getting higher, far better bookings, but it's still at this stage In the beginning, like my other units at home away, it's still like
Are
one
you
or
on
two a month.
Booking.com with that one yet?
I just put them. Well, no, I'm expanding to that one I was working on that before I left.
Are you on
Yeah,
Expedia with that one?
What'd you say?
Expedia?
No, not yet.
Okay. So basically what I'm doing is trying to eliminate everything that's in common. So if all of that data came from one platform, the only other thing that's going through my head right now is that's why I was starting to mention Booking.com and Expedia in terms of being able to obtain reservations further out in advance, because that's basically what you're saying to me. So when you go back, and I don't know if you were on the training that I did where we talked about the formula, the leads times customers times margin times frequency equals growth potential. There's a series of questions through that training that will help you begin to continually deeper analyze this, because that's exactly what we're talking about here. What you're bringing is what I'm assuming to be is a leads issue, because I haven't examined, I haven't asked, is your conversion rate different? Meaning, have you been getting the same quantity of leads, but for some reason did your conversion rate change? Because that is also a possibility in this situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's like it has dropped. Just the conversion rate, that is. When I was looking at everything again, it did, I don't know, it was like a 70-something% conversion, and now it's down to a 56, I believe. And I'm pulling all this from memory, so everything's not exact.
Yeah, no, I understand. So, but hopefully that's where the answers are.
Okay.
The answers is because my suspicion is that there is a conversion rate issue, especially if it's gone down. There's a conversion. What changed? And what changed could simply be customer preference, which could also mean how you're describing and who is coming, because that has changed. The words or language or even the feature photo that you're using is not conducive to that same 70% conversion ratio you were previously getting. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So that's what is coming to my head right now. It's like what's different is season, and which therefore means it's probably a different customer, and what's different is also, like, do you have conversion rate numbers for fourth quarter last year?
No, I can't remember that one.
I would separate. Okay, so that's the other thing I would do. I would look at what were fourth quarter conversion numbers for last year, because maybe 50% or 60 or whatever the number is, maybe that's what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
That's possible. I mean, I don't know, or maybe it was 70 last year, and now that's going to begin to tell you something right there. Like if all of a sudden you go from 70 down to 50, like, yo, what's up? Especially if you have the same number of leads. So if you have the same number of leads, it's not an Airbnb, it's not a saturation and all the other stuff that we try to make up. It's something in the listing in and of itself, or in the communication, or in how, like, your response time. I can only imagine that your response time is better than it used to be, but I'm just saying, these are the things that I would begin to look at when the conversion rate is dropping, is how quickly are we answering, like, and I know you know this, but for us, it's 7 minutes or less, all messages get responded to.
Right.
So,
and I think that could be, I mean, I don't want to take too much more time, because I think this will be a much deeper conversation earlier in the call, but I do think that's possibly part of it, the response time, because I used to be, we think a lot alike, like you do, and I used to be one of those people, like, I had a strict, the response time is 3 minutes or less, and so I did give feedback.
That's hard to do.
Yeah. I know, because it was kind of an all-hands-on-deck situation. There was 4 of us, and so I started pulling back, and we re-shifted and reassigned, and now we are at the 7-minute mark just following your lead. So that could play a role in it, but at the same time, I was just digging through the listings, and I did some nerd tech digging on the inside of it, so I got to look at the like the page data itself that Airbnb has embedded into the page, and everything is like 5, 10, 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. Like we're still ranked at 97% customer satisfaction just on the inside of their stuff. So yeah, I think what you're saying makes far more sense, that it's possibly just something we change in a listing, or something that we have there is not relaying the message like it used to.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you can compare year over year or quarter over quarter lead volume, like if you've got the same number of inquiries thereabouts, within a reasonable delta, of course, then it's probably that's what it is.
Awesome. I got some more homework to do then.
Figuring out what you need to change and improve.
Hey guys, thanks for listening as always, and I'm glad that you continue to support with each and every download and subscription and share. One of the things that I want to ask you, though, is where are you listening to me from right now? I know some of you, maybe you're on a treadmill, maybe you're washing dishes, maybe you're walking that dog, and some of you are actually in a vehicle driving right now. One of the fun things that you can do, get some of your time back, is begin to living a car-free existence. But even then, it can be a little complicated. So one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to go over to Zipcar. Go to joinzipcar.com/cashflow diary. It's a way that I am able to still go get a car just for a few hours, very, very simply, so that if I have a lot of errands to run and sheets to drop off and running to the short-term rentals, or if I just want to go for a long trip up to LA and back, etc., I can rent a car for a very, very short period of time. And the cool part is I don't even have to pay for any gas. Again, go to joinzipcar.com/cashflow diary.
Thank you so much, Jay.
No problem, Daryl. I'll talk to you later.
Okay,
all right.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my goodness. So, well, yay, the phone works. Yay, that kind of worked today. I don't know. Anyway, let's go back. Where was, you don't need to see that anymore. And, questions, that's right. There was the t-shirt thing. That's what happened. The t-shirt thing happened, and that was kind of crazy, because who knew t-shirts? That was pretty crazy. Brian, for a house, do you put a camera in the backyard? I would be hesitant to put it, especially in California. Hold on. I'm gonna try to remember off the top of my head. I think it's California civil. I'm typing it in Google at the same time. Civil code. I want to say it's 657, I believe. Maybe it's penal code, not civil code. Maybe that was the difference. Anyway, it's in the 600s, and I think it might be the penal code, not the civil code. Anyway, what it comes down to is when someone has an expectation that a space was going to be private, and I'm not saying that they would have an expectation that the backyard is private, but if you are going to put them in the backyard, it has to be in the backyard, but facing the backyard, but not facing inside the house. So hopefully that makes sense. This is assuming you don't have some 12-foot backyard, walls, right, and trees, and if you've got spaces like that in the backyard, they could argue an expectation that space was supposed to be private, which now is going to become an issue. And if you do it, disclose. How about that? There you go. But on the safe side, I probably would not. Like the same thing for patios. I don't have them on patios. I just don't have them on patios. Now, you can't, I don't know if anyone could have a reasonable expectation of a patio being private in an apartment community, but why even go there? That's really where I'm coming from. Or not a patio, balcony. Sorry. I'm thinking of a balcony, the one that's off the ground out. Yeah, balconies. Patios, you've usually got your front door right there, so it's usually covered. Anyway, man, that was funny. Brian, you might want to put a red light outside your door when recording so everyone knows not to enter. So it's funny, Brian, that you say this. we have a sign at the moment that is red that says recording. And I just got some lights, and that's actually where we're headed. Yep. Poppy, we have something to that effect, whether or not the kids abide by it. Yeah. Yes. Right. Yes, exactly. Daryl, something. What is Poppy PMing? People were to get the shirt. What's your T-shirt link? I know, right? Poppy is the coolest. That was crazy. See. What if there is a pool in the backyard? That's the real question. Yeah, I probably wouldn't do that. I hear where I think I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying. I would find. I believe if there's a pool in the backyard, what I would do instead, let me make sure before I say this. Yep. So there are two things that are coming to mind. Well, you probably could have a pool, have it in the pool, just don't point it necessarily, depends on where the pool is. Just remember what I said about the privacy part. That's really what I'm getting at. Because ultimately, I think what you're probably trying to detect is how many people are there and if they're having a party. So with that being said, NoiseAware does have outdoor noise monitoring devices. So let's start with that. And there is a cell phone party buster, I think it's called. I don't remember the name of it. But there's I can't remember it off the top of my head right now, but there is a device that can measure the number of cell phone signals in a particular location. So that you're able to, you can reasonably determine, like if suddenly 15 cell phone signals, like does someone really have 15 cell phone numbers? No, and 15 cell phone devices, so that would also help. And then some of the things that I'm working on with the Wi-Fi will also help you because you will be able to monitor the number of devices connected to the Wi-Fi in a given time window to be able to get information and figure that out as well. But yeah, that's what's going through my head right now. Brian, to be clear, we're trying to cover the door in the back, but to do that, the pool area would be in view. Yeah, you can cover, quote unquote, cover the door and back. The real question is, can the camera see inside any of the windows? So long as you can cover the door without seeing inside the windows, you're fine. So maybe you put it directly over the back door, right? Pointed down, that could cover, especially if you point it down. If you point it down, you're probably not even going to see the pool anymore, right? But it's over the door, pointed down. It can see that area, which is what we're talking about. Again, this is back to why I say houses are so much more challenging, is because, well, they are. So anyway, oh my gosh, everybody, what a day. I'm gonna go figure out what happened with my equipment and this sound stuff. Fortunately, we were able to get one caller today. Hopefully everybody got their question answered. Oh, you know what? Let me double check, make sure there isn't any more questions over there. I don't see any. And yes, for those of you wondering, my wife is legit. By the way, I did not know. I just want to be really clear. It's not like I knew those shirts were here. I didn't even know she had ordered any. I don't even know what they said. She put them on me just then. You know more about what they are than I do. So anyway, hopefully we were able to help you guys today, get your questions answered, put you in a place to where you're able to get more done. We're going to keep working on the studio, make a better experience, and I will look forward to talking to you guys soon. All right, bye.